Hello everyone and welcome to our presentation. We are Group 6 as known as Rainbow Balloon, and in this presentation I will present to you the topic Statistics and Type of Measurement Scales. Begin the presentation. I am going to talk about the statistics. So, what is statistics? Statistics is basically the information based on the study of the number of times something happens. It has a connection with the describing, interpretation, and also analyzing the data. There are two types of statistics, the descriptive statistic and the inferential one. Let's begin with the descriptive statistic. This kind of statistic helps to describe and understand the feature of specific data set by giving short summaries about the sample measurement. It's not used for the generalizing population and it's useful because it provides practical information for the data. Here you can see an example of a descriptive statistic. As you can see, it summarizes and gives you some specific number, like number of firm, number of establishment. Next, I will talk about the inferential statistic. This kind of statistic will allow you to make prediction from that data, used to draw conclusion about a population that's based on a sample. It also used to estimate population parameters. Here is an example for inferential statistic. A teacher wants to know about his students' capacity from the last test. He only asked for just 10 students in the front row, and he concluded that his students did extremely well. The sample here you can see is the 10 students in the front, and the population is all the students in the class. And the teacher concluded that the class do extremely well is because the sample here is the student from the front row, and they tend to be more interested in the class and tend to perform higher in the test. However, the sample may perform better than the population, so his conclusion may be wrong. Here is the difference between the descriptive and the inferential. The descriptive statistic work in a large dataset, while the inferential work in the smaller one. The descriptive statistic display on those chart, graph, and table, while the inferential only display as probability. The descriptive used to describe the whole group, while the inferential used to explain the chance of an event. The descriptive explain the data that already know to summarize the sample, while the inferential try to draw a conclusion to find out from the population. Next, I will talk about the population and the sample. The population is basically all the elements from the set of data, while the sample is one or more observation drawn from the population. We can see from the previous example, the class size is the population and 10 students in the front row is the sample. Note that a measurable characteristic of a population, such as a mean of standard deviation, is called parameter, but a measurable characteristic of a sample is called a statistic. In the next part, I will present about 4 levels of measurements: nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. Let's begin with the nominal scale. This level of measurements contains the least information. Its observations are classified or counted with no particular order, and it also has no mathematical meaning. It has the least restrictive scale of measurements and is displayed on mode, pie chart, and contingency table method. Next is the ordinal scale. Ordinal scale represents a higher level of measurement than nominal scale that report the ranking and ordering of the data without actually establishing the degree of variation between them. Ordinal scale use labels to classify cases into ordered cases. Note that an ordinal scale implies that the cases must be put into order, such as each case in one class is considered greater or less than every case in another class, and cases in the same class are considered to be equal. Here is some example for ordinal scale, like how satisfied are you with our products? Totally satisfied, satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied, or totally dissatisfied. Or how happy are you with the customer service? Very unhappy, unhappy, neutral, or happy, very happy. The third level is the interval scale. This scale provides relative ranking similar to the ordinal scale, but the assurance that difference between scale values are equal. Here is some characteristics of the interval scale. It not only shows you the order and the direction, but also the exact difference between the value. The distance between each value on the interval scale are meaningful and equal. There is no true 0 point or fixed beginning, and because of that, you cannot calculate the ratios. An example about this level of interval scale is Kelvin, Celsius, or Fahrenheit. Those numbers have exact difference between the value. It has no true 0 point and cannot calculate the ratios. And the final level is also known as the ratio scale. This scale has all the characteristics of interval scale, but this scale are meaningful and have a true 0 point. Here is an example for the ratio scale. The weight in kilograms. 10 kg will be heavier than 2 times more than 5 kg. The ratio scale makes sense. 10 divided by 5 is 2, and 0 kilograms mean there are no weight, or you can say an absence of weight. This is the 0 point. This table will draw a conclusion for all the level of measurements that I've talked about. The nominal scale is basically category with no ordering or direction, used for marital status or type of car owned. The ordinal scale is similar to the nominal scale, but it has ranking, order, and scaling, used for service quality, student letter grades. The interval scale is like the ordinal scale, plus it has difference between measurements, but it has no true 0 point, used for temperature, standardized exam score. The ratio scale is the same as interval, but now it has the true 0 point and have more sense of difference, used for height, age, weekly food spending. And that is the end of the presentation. Hope you guys will all pass the CFA1. And finally, thanks for watching.